Welcome to Super Budget Commander. I'm your host Alex, and I've got a great one in store for you today. As always, a Super Budget Commander deck is fun to play, costs no more than $50, and most cards in the deck cost less than $1. So enough with the small talk. Let's get started. Toshiro Umezawa is a powerful kanji mage, best known for his exploits during the Kami War. He is one of the best samurai creatures ever printed, and a powerful commander. Toshi's biggest strength is his second ability. Anytime an opponent puts a creature into their graveyard from play, you may cast an instant spell from your graveyard. So in essence, all your instant spells can potentially be used twice. This makes Toshi a formidable spell-slinging commander who shows no mercy to his enemies. Let's dive in and see what this deck's made of. Burnished Heart is a nice addition here because it allows us to grab two basic swamps and put them directly on the battlefield. Magus of the Coffers is our budget version of Cabal Coffers. The Magus is a good deal slower than Cabal Coffers, but he's a little over $1, whereas Cabal Coffers is closer to $30. Bloodgift Demon is essentially a 5/4 flying Phyrexian Arena. Indulgent Tormentor will almost always draw you a card, or at the very least, set up Toshi's ability if an opponent chooses to sacrifice a creature. Disciple of Bolas can generate you a hefty advantage, if she's timed correctly. Her effect is very powerful, especially when many of the creatures we're running are demons. Speaking of demons, Kothafed incentivizes us to wreck our opponent's board states in a major way. He also generates us card advantage when our opponents disrupt each other, allowing us to kick back and enjoy the destruction. Blood Artist is a powerful little vampire. His ability can quickly get out of hand and force your opponents to remove him or risk dying to his ability. Stinkweed Imp is obnoxious for two reasons. Anytime he deals combat damage to a creature, that creature gets destroyed, making him a fantastic chump blocker. His Dredge 5 ability allows you to dump 5 cards from the top of your library into your graveyard anytime you draw a card. Potentially putting a bundle of instant spells into your graveyard gives you a ton of different ways to terrorize your opponents. Magus of the Will is this deck's more affordable version of Yawgmoth's Will. Having the ability to play any card from our graveyard for even a limited time is really powerful. Gary the Grey Merchant is solid in most mono-black decks. A lot of black spells require us to pay life, but Gary helps refill our health bar and keep us in the fight. Fleshbag Marauder and Merciless Executioner are perfect at piling up bodies in the graveyard, which conveniently helps Toshi continue to sling spells. They also are great at taking out pesky, indestructible, and hexproof creatures. I really like Crypt Rats in this deck. It's almost like having Comet Storm on a creature. The Rat Bomb is perfect for taking out huge groups of annoying creatures, or even your opponents. Royal Assassin is simple but efficient. Assassinate anything that taps. Finally, we have Archfiend of Depravity. He absolutely wrecks token strategies and gives us plenty of triggers to set off Toshi's ability multiple times. No black deck would be complete without a few evil rituals. With Toshi allowing us to play instants twice, the amount of mana we can generate with these rituals is ridiculous. Dark Ritual is awesome. Spend 1 mana, get 3 mana. Cabal Ritual is best once Threshold applies. Fortunately, triggering Threshold in this deck isn't that hard. Stinkweed Imp says hello. Black excels at reanimating creatures from graveyards. Spoils of Blood isn't specifically reanimation, but I included it here because it plays off of death triggers in a major way. 1 mana at instant speed nets you a gigantic horror token. That on its own is great, until you realize that you can do it twice in a row because of Toshi's ability. Wake the Dead is a trap card. Bait an opponent into selling out on an attack, then punish them for it. Grim Return is hilarious. Kill a creature you like, then steal it from your opponent's graveyard, because why not? Treacherous Urge lets you steal a creature directly from your opponent's hand, then put it onto the battlefield under your control. Trust me, people love it when you take the cards right out of their hand, then smash them with their own stuff. Cremate is great at shutting off opposing graveyard decks and helping you draw cards at the same time. If an opponent tries to play something out of their graveyard, cremate it, then draw a card. Skeletal Scrying is a typical black spell. Sacrifice a bit of life and exile some cards from your graveyard, and in return, draw a few new cards. For good reason, there are very few sorcery cards in this deck. The ones I've included, like Sign in Blood and Night's Whisper, serve a very specific purpose. In this case, it happens to be efficient card draw. Read the Bones is one of the few black card draw spells that allows you to scry. Seeing what cards you could potentially draw next is always helpful when you're trying to play to the best of your ability. Succumb to Temptation's biggest benefit is that it's instant speed, meaning we can play it twice due to Toshi's ability. Wrapping up the card draw spells are Dark Deal and Moonlight Bargain. Dark Deal is an underrated black wheel effect. When paired with Toshi, it's particularly effective because we can easily play things from our graveyard. Moonlight Bargain is fantastic with Toshi. Once again, letting cards go to the graveyard isn't a problem like it would be for other commanders. Here comes the fun stuff. Tragic Slip is great at eliminating indestructible threats like Avacyn or Blightsteel Colossus. Go for the Throat as basic removal. Pick a non-artifact creature and murder it. Gotta love Doomblade. Anything non-black should watch its back. Bioblight is every token or copy effect player's worst nightmare. One small spell can destroy an entire army. Here are two spells that will definitely catch your opponents by surprise. Warping Whale allows you to exile a small creature, counter a sorcery spell, or get yourself an Eldrazi token that you can sacrifice for mana. Withering Boon is a creature counterspell. Definitely not something you see every day in black. Malicious Affliction and Victim of Night are both creature-slaying spells. However, Malicious Affliction has a morbid ability, allowing you to kill off 2 creatures with it instead of just 1. Similar to Malicious Affliction, Reckless Spite lets you eliminate 2 creatures at instant speed. Snuff Out is unique because you can play it without paying any mana. This makes for an easy way to catch an opponent by surprise, because when you have no mana open, you can still take out their creatures. Black struggles to take out artifacts and enchantments. That's why I've included Scour from Existence. 7 mana is a lot to pay, but when you need this spell, you really need it. I'm looking at you, rest in peace. Here are some fun ways to make your opponents cry. Sudden Spoiling is one of my favorite spells. It's amazing to watch a giant, seemingly unstoppable army turn into a wad of useless 0/2 creatures. Split Second is just icing on the cake. Mutilate is really solid for a mono black deck, for obvious reasons. Got 20 extra mana and don't know what to do with it? Why not dump it into Exsanguinate, torture your opponents, and gain a crap ton of life? Sounds good to me. Shred Memory allows you to take out any graveyard plays your opponents might make, but its most useful ability is Transmute. Transmute allows you to discard Shred Memory and replace it with any 2 to cast spell in the deck. Wretched Confluence is a little bit of everything at instant speed. Draw cards, kill creatures, and resurrect creatures. Last but not least, we have Insidious Dreams. This spell is absolutely perfect for Toshi. Essentially, you can deliberately discard cards for later use, and stack the top of your deck with whatever cards you need. Everflowing Chalice is as solid as they come. It's useful at all stages of the game, and can be as big or small as your game plan requires. Wayfarer's Bauble is here to help us fetch out swamps and get them on the battlefield. Soul Ring because Soul Ring. It's a staple in most every deck for good reason. Mind Stone is an underrated artifact. Its best attribute is being able to sacrifice it and draw a card. Similar to Wayfarer's Bauble, our Millery Sphere is here to find us swamps. Charcoal Diamond is an excellent low-cost mana rock. Dropping it early in a game can set Toshi up for success. Unstable Obelisk is more than just ramp. In an emergency, it can turn into an unexpected way to take out a pesky artifact or enchantment. Every great warrior has a variety of equipment to choose from. Explorer Scope is an underrated ramp equipment. It can fetch you a surprising amount of lands you'd never expect to get. Sword of the Animist is a commander all-star, and one of my favorite equipment. It's like Explorer Scope on steroids. Rogue's Gloves give Toshi an unconventional source of card draw. Swiftfoot Boots are a well-known equipment, and for good reason. Hexproof can make your creatures difficult to get rid of, and Haste means you'll be swinging in right away. An upgrade to Rogue's Gloves is Mask of Memory. Drawing 2 cards is great, but what's even better is being able to intentionally discard spells for later use. Runechanter's Pike is a great add to any Spellslinger deck, and can potentially make Toshi a one-shot KO commander to opposing players. Strata Scythe is every monocolored commander's dream. The boost it can give to a creature is potentially game-changing. Whispersilk Cloak is another obnoxious equipment that helps give Toshi evasion and makes your opponent's lives that much more miserable. Last on Toshi's equipment checklist are Bone Horde, Lash Writhe, and Nightmare Lash. Bone Horde gives equipped creature a boost equal to the number of all creatures in all graveyards. When you're killing off things as often as Toshi is, that'll be a nice stack of creatures in people's graveyards. Lash Writhe and Nightmare Lash are functionally the same card. Both give equipped creature a boost equal to the number of swamps you control. There are only 4 enchantments in this deck, and all 4 are important. Animate Dead is the epitome of a recursion spell. Bring back any creature from any graveyard and start wreaking havoc with it. Arguel's Bloodfast is a super budget Phyrexian Arena. I doubt this enchantment ever flips, but if it does, it becomes Temple of Aklazotz, a land that might be useful when your life total is dangerously low. Sticking with our budget theme, we end with Underworld Connections and Greed. Both have the same purpose: draw us a lot of useful cards. We're rocking 32 lands in this deck. Of those 32, 24 are basic swamps. I'll highlight the 8 non-swamps, starting with Crypt of Agadeem. The Crypt can generate us some extra mana if we happen to have a full graveyard, which is a good possibility. Temple of the False God is well known. Some love it, some hate it. I think it's a decent option in this deck. Rogue's Passage gives us a way to force Toshi damage through pesky would-be chump blockers. Gaia Reach Sanitarium helps us draw cards and put useful cards into our graveyard for later use. Rounding things out, we have 4 Cycle Lands. These are a great way to draw cards late in the game and help us keep our hand full of things we might actually use. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You rock! If you want to connect with me on social media, those links are in the description below. I also posted the link to this deck list down below. Go check it out and show it some love. Let me know in the comments below, which commander should I deck tech next? If you're down with what I'm doing, show me a little love. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.